Yeah, so hello again, everybody. And Alex, I'm glad you joined that very quickly there because I was looking as we were doing the rounds, and you're the only person who replied to the email to say, I look forward to the fun facts you're going to be giving, which they're not really necessarily fun facts, but they are certainly interesting ones. Okay, if I just share my screen, can everybody see that okay?
Yep.
Okay, so today what I'm going to do is give an overview or a bit of background to myself. They're not really fun facts, they're just some interesting facts about myself that I thought I'd share, which I quite often use as icebreakers in presentations. Then what I'm then going to do is show you or demonstrate who my target audience is and what I can do for that target audience and what I provide currently. I don't know if you're a believer of fate, but just a few lucky escapes that things have happened to me in the past. I put in the email about the Twin Towers. I was actually at the top of the Twin Towers exactly 1 year and 1 day before the terrorist attack. And if you remember back in those days when you used to take your film into Boots or to your local shop and get the film developed, I've actually got the photo of myself and my partner at the top of the Twin Towers with the date stamp on, showing the date that we were up there. And the London Mayhem bit at the bottom, I worked for Vodafone in the Strand in London. My first day was the 4th of July, so my career there was born on the 4th of July. And that week, the Olympics were announced that they were going to be in London. And then on the Friday, it was complete mayhem, and I was wondering what on earth was going on. There were sirens going off and everything, and that was when the London bombing was. So if anybody says, do you remember your first week of Vodafone? Yes, I definitely do. The one in the middle is, there's a little bit of a business lesson here as well, which is I used to go swimming every day in the summer in my teens, and not so much now, but I used to consider myself a very strong swimmer. And I used to go surfing in Devon, the Cornwall area. And just over 20 years ago, I was caught in an undercurrent. I didn't realize at the time, and I was swimming as fast as I could to try and get out of it. And basically, I was being dragged backwards further and further. And I was actually rescued by an instructor. And little had I known that if I'd just swam sideways across the beach, I'd got out of the current and I'd have been perfectly okay. So that was a near miss, but kind of a lesson for life and for business, if you like, is that sometimes you could be going in the wrong direction, and pretty much no matter how hard you put your effort in, no matter how hard you try, you could actually still be going backwards. So yeah, that was quite an occasion for me. If you're wondering at the moment, I'm never going to go to a city with Darren, or I'm never going to go surfing with him or do any sports. Fear not, I'm actually a bit of a lucky mascot with sports, with football and rugby. I've been to many matches for Basingstoke Town, Reading, just down the road here, and the Villa, Aston Villa, who I support. Every game I've ever been to, the team I've supported has either drawn or won. They've never lost. So if you do want, if your team's in the cup final and you want them to win, do invite me along for that. But I understand if you don't want to take me surfing. A bit more about me. 25 years in sales and marketing. I've done various roles. I actually started my career in telemarketing, went on to do business development, and then product management, launching products either across Europe or worldwide. Decided to leave the corporate world in 2011, excuse me, and I set up Think Twice Marketing, which is a digital agency. It still exists today. I've kind of ring fence my loyal customers, and I still work with them, and we do things such as Google ads, Facebook ads, and all sorts of other different things around marketing, such as lead generation. Back in 2015, I have a passion for writing content, and back in 2015 I wrote my first book, and I'll come back to that in more detail in a minute. But my focus going forward for the last couple of years has been more on doing coaching in the mentoring side, coaching and mentoring marketing, which I'll go through, and also on developing online courses and my books. And in terms of the books, I haven't shared all of them here, but I just kind of give you a taste of the stuff that I've got on Amazon. The two books that are in large, Psychology and Marketing Sales and How to Create a Perfect Landing Page, those are by far and away my two top selling books, which surprised me a little. I never thought that Psychology and Marketing Sales would be a top seller, but there you go. Both of those are also available in audible format as well. And what I've been doing, especially this year since March, is developing online courses. So I wrote a book on getting to the top of Google, and I've basically taken that content and put it into a text-based course, and I'm now improving it by adding videos and more materials to it as well. So over the next 12 to 18 months, my plan is to develop those online courses even further. I don't know if you're book fans, if you like reading books, just to kind of give you some scope on the size and contents that I write. The average paperback book is 40 to 50,000 up to 90,000 words in size, unless you're J.K. Rowling, which apparently she frequently does over 100,000 words, or frequently used to do, I should say. The books that I've written are normally 15 to 20,000 words. They're short, they're concise. I'm not a waffler, or at least I don't think I'm a waffler. And I've put up some reviews here just to kind of get some feel that these books they're proven and they're established, but also some feedback around how compact they are. So the top left one, you can see it says, great book, concise, short, but packed, full of the psychology you need to increase the firepower of your sales and marketing. And then at the bottom there, we've got, I think it's Baseball Bert in the US, who got my book, that says it's a small book, but packs a big wallop. So people do like the fact that they don't need to read for hours to get content on how to improve their sales and marketing. So that's a quick overview of me. In terms of my target audience and how I stand out, I'm targeting anyone who's responsible for sales and marketing. And I know that sounds a bit vague, but depending on the organization, some teams are responsible for sales and marketing. Larger corporates, they have a sales team and they have a marketing team. And in smaller businesses, it could be the business owner that does the sales and the marketing. So roles such as a director of marketing, VP of sales, sales director, even the CEO and business owner. And I don't limit myself in terms of who my target audience is in terms of industry, but I'm trying to focus more on tech companies, security companies, B2B. I've supported e-commerce businesses and B2C, but it's very difficult to get the success. It's not my strong area. Service focused, such as consultancies, and not necessarily just startups, but startups that have the funding. They've gone out and got the crowdfunding and they've got the money to go and do a big launch, but they need help getting the product out and getting the marketing done to make it a success. And in terms of how I'm different, I take a holistic approach. And it's another funny fact is that I did a marketing-based degree back in the days when websites were just coming out and Facebook, Twitter, and Google didn't exist. So that's not necessarily a negative thing. It means that the stuff that I studied was around pricing, positioning of your product, things such as focusing on features and benefits and how the customer mind ticks. So I take a more holistic approach. I don't sit there and say, you know, an SEO expert might say, do SEO, but don't do Google ads, you'll waste money. And a Google ads expert will say, don't do SEO, you'll waste your money, do ads and get straight to the top. I take a step back and advise what I think is right for the customer based on his situation. And this is no disrespect to business coaches, but I've worked with a number of business coaches who have sat down with their clients and said, in order to achieve your targets, you need to focus on your marketing, or your marketing your sales. And the clients said, okay, how do I do that? And that's where the coach has passed on the business to myself to help with the marketing for that client. So coaches typically come from a slightly different angle. They're great at many different things, but not at marketing. And that's where I'm unique. And I back it up with a 90-day guarantee. So if any customers aren't happy with the progress we're making and what we've achieved in the first 90 days, then they get their money back. As simple as that. So how can I help? I'm just going to go through a quick explanation of what the process is, how I work with clients. It doesn't have to be monthly, but typically it is. We sit down and we go through and review the activities. We actually, before that, sit down, if they haven't got a marketing plan already and they haven't set targets, which is typically in the smaller businesses, they don't have that set, we will go through that. So we will go through a template to say, what's your targets? What are you trying to achieve over the next 5 years, the next 12 months, and the next quarter? And then we will determine what those activities are to get those wins in. And just having that clarity helps them to stay focused and know what they need to work on. And what I try to do is I try to focus on the quick wins, the low-hanging fruit. So yes, we need to develop a long-term plan, but also there are some small activities that can be done to get business coming in. So two areas I tend to focus on mostly is, number one, let's look at your existing client base. how can we upsell or cross-sell and increase the revenues and the profits with existing ones? And secondly, how can we look at the marketing you've got already before you go spending hundreds of pounds on advertising and networking and other things? How can we just improve that marketing to get better conversions? And if there's time, I'll go through that at the end. There's a lot to be said for accountability, just providing that accountability on a regular basis. So I was just letting David back into the session. And also I have an extra website called marketingsalesgrowth.com, where I have a range of templates from marketing goal setting, action plans, examples of perfect landing pages and email marketing campaigns. And all my clients can access that portal and download those materials and work through them at their own speed as well. Sorry, because I let David in, my thing's frozen. So give me just a second. I seem to move on to the next slide. There we go. Right. And as I said earlier, I don't just focus on things like should you write a blog post, should you do advertising, things like that. What I also do is I go through goal setting and just defining who the target audience is, so that they know who they're targeting, they know what the message is and what the features and the benefits are that they can promote to that target audience. This is optional, and I'm surprised how many people don't necessarily take this, but I also do an alignment call, because once a month is a long time. It's very easy to get distracted with admin, firefighting, and all sorts of other things. So in addition to the monthly call, I provide an alignment call, which is a 15-20 minute session to sit down and just say, are you still focused? What are you working on? What progress are you making? And can I help out in any way? I love this quote. I don't know if you've seen this before, but actually this was a quote from a very, very long time ago. Half the money I spend on advertising is wasted. The trouble is I don't know which half. And for me, having a coach or a mentor, or having the tools that Alex provides, for example, or having a content writer such as Arab, what that does is that helps you to not just understand where your money's going and what's working, but also helps you to fast track and speed up the route to success. So I don't sit there and say, use my services and you will absolutely achieve this within the first month and the first 2 or 3 months and so on, because we don't know what's going to happen. You never know with advertising. I've seen campaigns that I didn't think would succeed, and I've been surprised by the fact that they work so well. And when we've analysed it, we've understood why. So very quickly, why myself? I like to be honest and ethical, provide a different perspective. And as I said, just having my support on a monthly basis speeds up that learning curve. And I can throw all sorts of statistics around accountability and coaching, but there's plenty out there that show that having a coach or having a mentor to hold your hand and help you along, whether that's in personal life or business life, it does help you improve the chances of success. That's me. Are we okay for time, James? I've got 2 minutes just to go through the cumulative effect.
You're on time, but you can take another couple of minutes to.
Okay, brilliant. So I've shown this a number of times to clients and also at networking events, and people are kind of blown away by the impact. The cumulative effect is about just making small changes all add up to big results in your marketing and sales. And what I'm going to go through here is, without spending any money on advertising or any other marketing activities, I'm going to show you how you can increase not just revenues but also profits. Now this is a made-up these are made-up figures, and you can argue up a bit or down a bit on the figures, but bear with me and you'll see the point I'm trying to make. So imagine you get 1,000 visitors to your website every month, and out of those 1,000 visitors, 5% of them make an inquiry. They pick up the phone, they drop you an email, they fill out the contact form, or they might even put their contact details in on a lead generation page to get that free ebook. And out of those 5%, 20% of that 5% make inquiries. They actually become customers, and the other 80% don't become customers. It doesn't go any further. And on average, they spend about £500 per customer. So that's 10 customers per month, five grand revenue. Now let's imagine we look at the website and we say, well, the call to action, the button is difficult to find, especially on a mobile phone. So we move the button up, we change the color, we make it stand out, we change the wording on it. That 5% it just changes to 6. It doesn't double, nothing spectacular, it just goes up by 1%. So now, redoing the calculations, we're at 12 customers and 6 grand in sales. Then we modify the offer. So we make a few changes to the website, we make it more attractive. Maybe we just change the wording and we include a guarantee that makes using your product or your services a no-brainer. The 20% now jumps to 30%. So again, not huge, but it's still a 10% increase from 20 to 30. We're now at 18 customers and £9,000 in sales. We haven't got any new visitors. The number of visitors hasn't gone up. It's still 1,000 per month, but we've increased revenue from 5 to 9. And if you're an accountant or you love figures, you'll like this because there's also some good news around that. One thing I do with clients is we also look at introducing premium products, because a lot of people don't realize that roughly 10 to 20% of their clients are actually happy to pay for premium products if you have them available. So we introduce a premium product and the average sale price goes up from 500 to just 550. So we're at 9,900. I'm sorry, and because we're talking accountancy here, we need to know what the costs are to know our profits. So we've got quite high costs here of £400 per unit that we sell. So while sales has gone from 5,000 to 9,900, it's up 98%. The actual profits have gone up by 170%. So profits have increased at a greater rate than sales. Obviously, the sales director might not be so interested in that, but certainly the CEO or the business owner is. And just to reiterate, there's no new marketing spend, there's no increased costs, and there's no extra visitors to the website. The point I'm making here is that I've turned down clients in the past who wanted help with Google ads or Facebook ads because their website isn't up to scratch. And just by going back and making those tweaks, they can get better results without spending money on the ads. And also when they spend money on the ads, it actually increases the results of that as well. So that's kind of the power of the cumulative effect. And that's it. That's me. Any questions?
Thank you, Darren. Questions for Darren?
I'm not about surfing.
I thought it was great, Darren. Honestly, really good. And I agree about the premium products bit. I also, when I work with clients, I also look for other ways of monetizing what they would normally do, which I think is a really another strong thing to do. And the fact that new client on Wednesday was a classic case when he's giving away loads of value. I said, you can charge for that. And he fell off his chair and he came back and tried it out. And within, the one call the very next morning, yesterday, he said he's already got someone who's interested. So this is a whole area. So yeah, it's a strong one, isn't it?
Yeah, and it is just a quick, it's a case of thinking about it and being aware of it and actually implementing it. Yeah.
Right. Any other questions?
Yeah, well, I've got a quick, obviously quite impressed, Darren, with the number of books that you've published. I'm currently revising a small book, and I laughed when you mentioned your wordage. Mine's about 8,500 words. I have pinged a message to you in the chat. I was wondering, as your experience, would you have time to just talk me through how you go about getting an international standard book number and actually formally publishing it? And an even bigger ask is, would you mind if I sent the final version over to you, having a check through a bit and seeing what you think and giving me any feedback and advice?
Yeah, happy to help. It's been a learning experience, I can tell you that, because in 2015 I thought it would be easy, but it's far from easy getting your book to market and then marketing it. And yeah, happy to help. Yeah.
Thank you, I appreciate it. We'll
right.
set up a call maybe for next week.